Who are we? I believe that humanity represents a single race, which attempts to improve the world, which attempts to live peacefully, and has thus far failed, but has made great strides, and that together, through the internet, we may come to realize a unified identity, that this need not be frightening, as the internet is voluntary, and as such, if one disagrees with the majority on how to engage on pushing forth their thoughts or acting on their dreams, then they cannot be victimized, as association through the internet is voluntary, not coercive. In a research paper I completed on the construction of a unified Filipino identity, I wrote that, in order to create a national identity, to bring a national consciousness into existence, there must first be leaders in that society to create, through the written or spoken word, the picture for others to see. Nationalism, by its very nature, is often crafted artificially. Nationalism creates the feeling in the public of a unified identity, in spite of their differences, and in recognition of their similarities. Nationalism is a tradition which establishes social unity, a feeling of being part of something greater than oneself, a feeling within a society that they can trust leaders and follow them in their mapping for the collective consciousness or national consciousness. Tradition makes one feel that there is a unified or shared national consciousness. Hopshawn, Roger, page 10. Nationalism, as well as religion, prior to the internet, were the primary ways in which people were enabled to come together to attempt to progress their society or their collective consciousness forward. Unquote. Also, it's relevant that I reveal my thesis of the paper so that you may understand where I'm coming from. In a research paper I completed on the construction of a unified Filipino identity, I wrote that, quote, in order to create a national identity, to bring a national consciousness into existence, there must first be leaders in that society to create, through the written or spoken word, the picture for others to see. Nationalism, by its very nature, is often crafted artificially. Nationalism creates the feeling in the public of a unified identity in spite of their differences and in recognition of their similarities. Nationalism is a tradition which establishes social unity, a feeling of being part of something greater than oneself, a feeling within a society that they can trust leaders and follow them in their mapping for the collective consciousness or national consciousness. And this tradition makes one feel that there is a unified or shared national consciousness. This tradition, Hopshawn, Roger, page 10. My thesis, in essence, will attempt to prove that the Filipino Ilustrados utilize the spoken and written word to translate existing means of current societal constructs to attain their desired ends. They translated existing means which were previously either used to degenerate their social standing or otherwise had not yet been used to improve it, into something which would instead elevate the social standing of Filipinos. Further, that these means which they had translated also not yet had been used to cultivate a Filipino identity. This translation enabled Ilustrados to incept a unified Filipino consciousness. This is essential, as it led to a unified Filipino consciousness which still exists today, having been first expressed coherently by the Ilustrados. Then, in closing, I will demonstrate how what the Ilustrados did is still relevant to modern times, as the words of Ilustrados like Rizal continue to impact the national Filipino consciousness. The full paper can be found in the description, by the way. Quote, to understand the initial experience of nationalism as a power of transmission, it is necessary to see it from the perspective of a history of translation. Unquote. Vincent Raphael in Promise of Translation, page 13. Thus, what I am attempting to do here is to assist in the continued empowerment of humanity through its unification, and I am going to do so by translating existing means, well, I should say, I'm going to attempt to do so, to develop a unified vision of a global human consciousness, and by doing so, aspiring that this will assist in the enabling. Going to do so by translating existing means to develop a unified vision of a global human consciousness, and by doing so, aspiring that this will assist in the enabling of further empowerment of us all to push our positive and peaceful dreams and aspirations forward. Only the positive and peaceful dreams, though. So that we may paint them into reality. I believe that humanity represents one race, as I believe the term race to be something which identifies great differences between people whose only true differences rest in pigmentation, while it's also true that humanity developed and adapted through the evolutionary process from Africa to Asia, and from North America to Europe, and from South America to the Arctic regions. I believe that any family placed in a region and given the same time to adapt through generations over time would have those similar adaptations which we often see as something which differentiates us. But I honestly believe humanity to be one race with difference in only ethnicities and in cultures. We attempt to improve our world through coming together to fix problems, to understand our world better through science and religion, to make life a better experience through expressions of beauty as in film or music. There are thousands of organizations all over the world, regardless of the nation in which you live, where people come together to try to improve our world. And one of my best examples of this, which encompasses people all over the world, is Kickstarter. What is Kickstarter? I'm also a big admirer of Doctors Without Borders. Science, religion, and philosophy attempt to answer questions about our existence, and through those answers, they improve our world. And I believe that science is immensely useful in providing us an understanding, which is the closest approximation to truth which we humans, with limited capacity for knowledge, may come. Answering how questions. And if you've yet to appreciate the beauty of science, I'd recommend Neil deGrasse Tyson's Most Astounding Fact on YouTube. Then philosophy and religion are man's closest approximation to truth on why. And I argue throughout MakeLifeBetter.me, also see description, that religious conflicts are not conflicting in values, but rather conflicting on definitions. Who, what, when, where, why questions. If you've yet to appreciate religion through your healthy skepticism of religious text, then I'd implore you to check out this book, Quantum Physics, Near-Death Experiences, Eternal Consciousness, Religion, and the Human Soul by William Joseph Bray. The author, William Joseph Bray, states the purpose of the book as to teach the subject of quantum physics to the lay reader in math and terminology that is simple to understand, to describe how and why reality, this universe is interdependent with consciousness in order to exist, to describe this mechanism, how we interact with this finite universe in a tangible argument that is suitable within the formal definitions of quantum physics, as well as the philosophies and religions of man, to dismiss the urban myths and misconceptions in science that suggest our existence is finite, and to present a working definition for consciousness that is suitable to quantum physics, as well as the philosophies of man, to establish that this definition for consciousness requires infinite, unique existence, to describe that this working definition for consciousness requires infinite, unique existence, and to describe, and that this working definition for consciousness eliminates paradoxes in science, philosophy, and religion, and to draw a well-defined line between cognitive belief systems and faith, and awareness of oneself as being an infinite being, and as being tangible and real, not merely a belief. That's on the back of the book I just showed you. And for the record, William Joseph Bray is a physicist and chemist by education, and worked in pharmaceutical research chemistry for over. Humanity, the vast world over, attempts to live in peace, and yet we often do so in a way which is counterintuitive. Our nations fight as we are persuaded that another nation violates our ability to live peacefully. And there sure are times when this is true. Great examples being the communist former Soviet Union and the former National Socialist Germany. Yet all too often, we are too easily persuaded to go to war without exhausting peaceful means. And as politicians and corporations who benefit from war push us towards it, also, through the internet, we are empowered to come together to create peace. A point I solidify in a video that will also be in the description, but it's also on the top of makelifebetter.me right now, trying to spread that video as far and wide as possible. So, call to action. Let us now unite voluntarily, as a collective human consciousness, and allow all to express themselves peacefully, however they wish. Quote, and if peace scares you, and if love scares you, and if joy scares you, then I don't think good things are going to happen in your future. Because I believe that all of these things will become realized in our society in my lifetime. The source is the same video which I just told you about 5 seconds ago. So may we all find and then continually live in love and joy and peace. And to my Arab brothers and sisters, salam.